Welcome to Sleep, a place where every gentle sound guides you toward peace, and every moment helps you drift into deep, restful sleep. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Welcome back, dear listener. Thank you for being here in this soft, quiet moment. Settle in, let your body find comfort, and feel the gentle rhythm of your breath as you begin to relax. Imagine a slow, whispering breeze drifting through open windows, the leaves outside brushing softly in a lullaby of nature. The room is warm and calm. Perhaps there is a faint crackle from a hearth or the distant hum of a fan, soothing and steady. Let your thoughts soften like clouds dissolving into a pastel sky, and allow yourself a little peace. Our story today begins setting sail at the edge of a very ordinary desk. On that desk there lies a small pile of paper and a single delicate loop of bent metal paperclip. It seems simple, almost invisible, but as we lean in, we discover that this little twist of wire carries a surprising history, a quiet journey through time that few ever notice. Tonight, we gently uncover that humble tale, the history of paperclips nobody asked for. Centuries ago, in the soft glow of candlelight, medieval scribes worked by hand. They held manuscripts carefully in place, using small fibula, tiny clasps, or pins made from metal or bone. These ancient clasps were like distant ancestors of the modern paperclip. These scribes needed something to keep parchment sheets together. Their tools were simple, but their patience was vast, and their hands knew the weight of time. As we drift further into the quiet story, imagine a medieval scriptorium, a long, vaulted room where monks sit in silence. The air carries a faint scent of parchment and ink, mixed with a hint of beeswax from the candles. Outside, tall towers cast soft shadows across the courtyard. The monks dip their quills into ink, copying words in neat lines, and between each leaf of parchment, they carefully insert a tiny clasp, a fibula, to hold things in place. These pins need to be strong, but their design is graceful, almost humble. They are not meant to stand out. They simply do their job, softly and reliably. Time drifts. The centuries turn, and by the 19th century, a quiet inventor named Johann Wahler comes into focus. He's not a flashy man by any means. He works in a small workshop, twisting wires and studying metal under the glow of a modest oil lamp. He wants to make something simple, useful, a way to keep sheets of paper together without damaging them. He bends and curves wire until it forms a neat loop, and that loop becomes one of the earliest prototypes of the modern paperclip. Some stories say he got a patent, others that other inventors made similar designs, but the quiet truth is that his simple wire loop changed how we handle paper. That gentle twist, that small invention, holds more than paper, holds ideas, letters, and memories. If these quiet tales are helping you drift off, a gentle like or a silent subscribe would mean the world. It helps this sleepy corner of the internet reach others who need a little calm too. I always wonder, where in the world are you listening from right now? If you're still awake, leave a whisper of a comment, maybe your city and the time on your clock. It's a beautiful thing, this quiet little global gathering, all connected through stories and stillness. Now, let's set the mood, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and get comfortable. Now, returning to our story, imagine that 19th century workshop again. The light is soft, flickering, and the inventor breathes slowly, deliberately. In his hands, the wire feels warm, pliable. He wraps it around a small mandrel, testing curves, adjusting angles. With each gentle bend, he listens to the metal respond, and when it curls just right, there is a small click, a reassuring whisper. He holds the first finished paperclip in his fingers, and for a moment he marvels, such a simple thing, yet so useful. The quiet hum of his workshop is steady. Outside his window, perhaps a soft breeze stirs the trees, and shadows dance lightly across his wooden floorboards. He leans back, placing the paperclip on his desk, and closes his eyes for a moment, feeling calm and content. That wire loop may seem trivial, but it carries a subtle power, the power to keep thoughts together, to bind letters, to hold promise. Over the following decades, the design evolved. Other inventors tinker with wire, trying different bends and shapes. Some twist the ends, some flatten the loops, some even try different metals. But the basic idea remains the same, a quiet clasp, ready to gather sheets, to hold memories, to be there. Imagine each inventor working in his small studio, late into the night, guided by lanterns and a deep desire to make something practical yet gentle. As the world changes, paper becomes more common. People write letters, keep records, and share ideas. Those little paperclips quietly arrive on desks, slipping into pockets, getting lost in drawers. And though few pay much attention, they become part of daily life, a small but constant companion. Think of a soft drawer, lit by morning light, opening slowly, revealing a handful of paperclips nestled next to old letters. The metal is cool to the touch, smooth, familiar. Now drift with me into the sensation of holding one. Picture yourself picking up a paperclip, feeling its subtle bend, its gentle resistance. You trace its shape with your fingertip, smooth curves against your skin. It feels unassuming, simple, but reliable. And in that moment, you might imagine all the hands that have held something like that before. Medieval scribes, industrious inventors, everyday people writing letters in dim rooms. As we continue, imagine a stream of soft memories flowing through that small loop. A child tucks a paperclip into a birthday card. A scholar clasps her research papers before delivering a lecture. A parent organizes bills, or perhaps a poet clips their verses together to send them gently into the world. That tiny wire loop becomes a bridge across lives and eras. The story of the paperclip is also a story of quiet resilience. Think of it, lying on a wooden desk, surviving generations, unnoticed yet enduring. It's not flashy. It doesn't need to be. Its strength is in its purpose, and its purpose is gentle to hold, to bind, to be there. In the hush of your room now, I invite you to imagine that first inventor's workshop again, or the flicker of monastic candles. Let your mind rest on the soft image of that curved wire. Let it remind you that even the smallest things can matter, that sometimes it's the unassuming loops that hold the most. As your breath slows, feel a gentle warmth spread through your chest, soft and calming. Picture the wire gently curled in your hand, the slow rhythm of its shape, the way it holds things together. You are safe, you are calm, you are resting with a small piece of history cradled softly in your mind. And now, as you drift, you might hear a faint echo of the past, the scribes in their quiet rooms, the inventor bending wire by the glow of his lamp, the daily lives of people using those loops to organize their thoughts. That history, gentle and steady, becomes part of your own restful journey. So as your eyes grow heavy, and your thoughts soften. Know that this simple story carries a peaceful message, that even the smallest inventions, the quietest loops, can bind together ideas, memories, and rest. Let your breathing slow, like a gentle tide, inhaling calm, exhaling tension. Let this soft story settle around you like a warm blanket and drift deeper into sleep. Picture yourself now walking slowly through a quiet old library. The floorboards beneath your feet creak softly, and dust motes drift through beams of golden light. Shelves tower above you, filled with books that have been opened and closed by countless hands. Somewhere, tucked inside one of those books, a paperclip rests between two pages like a soft whisper from the past. You imagine sliding the book open and seeing the faint imprint the clip has left on the paper, a gentle memory of keeping thoughts together. The soft sound of pages turning becomes a soothing rhythm in this peaceful place. You take a few slow steps deeper into the library. The air is still, almost sleepy, and the warm scent of old paper surrounds you like a comforting embrace. On a nearby table sits a stack of letters tied with a ribbon. Next to them lies a small tin box filled with paper clips of different shapes and ages. Some are old and darkened with time, others bright and smooth. You pick one up. It feels slightly cool and almost weightless, yet its shape is strong. You marvel at how something so small has traveled through so many moments. Imagine opening the tin box and stirring the paper clips gently with your fingertips. They make a soft clinking sound, like delicate wind chimes made of tiny loops. It is calming, repetitive, and soothing. You close your eyes for a moment and breathe in deeply, letting the gentle noise guide you into deeper relaxation. In the hush of that moment, you feel connected to every writer, every student, every scholar who ever reached into a desk drawer and grabbed one of these little loops. Now imagine traveling back again to a quieter time. Perhaps you find yourself in a late Victorian office, where the first mass-produced paperclips were beginning to find their way into daily routines. You picture an office clerk wearing a crisp shirt and rolling up his sleeves as he sorts through letters. On his desk sits a small bowl of paperclips, newly arrived from a factory where long coils of wire were fed into bending machines. These machines pressed the wire into shape with gentle precision, repeating the same motion over and over. The rhythm of the machine was steady and almost hypnotic, like a quiet heartbeat echoing in a large room. That clerk picks up a paperclip and smiles faintly at how useful it is. He clips together a set of notes and places them neatly in a folder. Then he pauses, stretches his shoulders, and gazes out the window at the street below. A horse-drawn carriage passes by. Somewhere far away, church bells ring. Everything moves slowly, steadily, with no hurry. You feel the calmness of that moment, as if you are standing there beside him, breathing the same gentle air. The idea of the paperclip spreads across Europe, then across the world. Factories begin making millions of them, bending wire into the familiar loops we still use today. People slip them into envelopes, attach them to documents, and use them to hold tiny pieces of their lives together. Some even bend them into little shapes when their minds wander. The smooth metal becomes a companion during long afternoons at desks and in classrooms. Now imagine sitting at your own desk, but in a room filled with soft lamplight. A small cup holds your paperclips. You pick one up and roll it gently between your fingers. The sensation is almost meditative. You take a slow breath in, then a slow breath out. The world outside your window fades into stillness. You can hear only the quiet hum of a fan or the faint movement of air. The paperclip becomes a tiny anchor, holding you gently in this moment. There is a kind of magic in everyday objects, but only when we slow down enough to notice them. Tonight, you are doing just that. You are giving your mind room to explore this small piece of history that usually hides in the background. Let yourself savor the simplicity of it, the softness of the details, the warm drift of the story. Now imagine a gentle breeze blowing across a meadow. It is early morning in this peaceful place, and the grass sways with a soft rustling sound. You walk slowly along a quiet path, holding a small wooden box in your hands. Inside it lies a single paperclip. It has traveled with you through centuries of imagination. From medieval scribes to modern desks, you find a smooth stone near the edge of the meadow and sit down. You open the box and look at the paperclip resting inside. You smile, and the calmness in your chest grows a little stronger. You take in the scenery around you. The sky is bright but soft, washed in pastel colors as gentle clouds drift overhead. Birds call from distant trees, their voices light and melodic. You feel the coolness of the stone beneath you, grounding and steady. The wind brushes past you again, warm and slow. Everything feels peaceful, like the world itself is taking a quiet breath. As you watch the meadow, you think about how even the smallest objects have stories woven through time. The paperclip in your hand carries the touch of inventors, writers, and countless everyday people. It is a symbol of patience, simplicity, and connection. Holding it makes you feel calm and steady, as if life's loose pages might come together in gentle order. You remain there for a moment, breathing in the soft air and listening to the meadow. Every sound seems to lull you deeper into comfort. Every breath feels easier than the last. The story continues to unfold inside your mind, soft and steady, like a slow river flowing toward rest. When you are ready, stand up gently in your imagination and tuck the paperclip back into the wooden box. Close the lid softly. You start walking back toward a small cottage at the edge of the meadow. Smoke rises gently from its chimney, and warm light glows from its windows. You head toward it, knowing that the evening will be peaceful. Inside the cottage, there is a table near a window. On that table, you place the wooden box. You sit down, hearing the faint creak of the chair, and look out the window at the meadow. Everything outside is still serene. You feel your body soften into the chair, your breathing slow and steady. You are calm. You are safe. You are drifting deeper into rest. As you sit quietly in that warm cottage, the glow of the lantern on the table settles into a soft halo. The wooden walls seem to hum with a slow, peaceful warmth, as if they remember stories of their own. You rest your hands lightly on the table, feeling its smooth surface beneath your palms. Outside the window, the sky begins to deepen in color. Pale pink fades into lavender, and lavender melts into a velvety blue. You watch as the first stars appear, flickering softly like distant tiny candles. Everything feels gentle, slow, and safe. You turn your attention back to the wooden box on the table. The paperclip inside it rests quietly, its journey paused, its story waiting. You imagine lifting the lid once more. The hinges sigh softly as they open. The metal loop inside catches the lantern light and reflects it with a faint shimmer. You notice the delicate curves of its shape, how simple and peaceful they seem. You let your finger trace the air above it without touching, like admiring the pattern of a seashell or a smooth pebble. Sometimes the smallest things bring the deepest calm. You close your eyes for a few slow breaths. Inhale gently, exhale gently. You imagine the cottage filling with the soft scent of herbs. Perhaps lavender hangs from bundles near the hearth. Maybe there is a pot simmering with chamomile leaves or mint. The earthy, warm fragrance drifts through the room, soothing your thoughts. The air feels still. Even the fire crackles quietly, each sound tiny and comforting. Now imagine that inside this cottage lives an elderly historian. She has spent her life collecting small, everyday artifacts, fascinated not by great battles or kings, but by the ordinary objects people forget. Tonight, she enters the room with a warm smile. She carries a wool shawl over her shoulders and moves slowly, as if she has all the time in the world. She notices the wooden box on the table, and her eyes soften. She sits across from you and folds her hands neatly. The historian begins to speak in a quiet, steady voice. She tells you about the earliest paper clasps she ever studied, made of bronze and shaped by hand. She describes the medieval writing tools she once analyzed in a museum, how each tiny pin or clasp bore marks of its creator's touch. She explains that the first wire clips of the 1800s were crafted in small workshops, each one bent by machines that clicked gently like the ticking of a wooden clock. As she speaks, you feel as though you are drifting through time again. Her voice is soothing, rhythmic. She paints pictures in your mind of old factories filled with rows of spooling wire. You see sparks floating softly in the air as workers shape the loops. The machines bend the wire in consistent motions, their rhythms steady and calming. The scene feels almost like watching waves roll onto a shore, repeating and peaceful. The historian continues, telling you that during the early 1900s, paperclips became symbols of quiet organization. Offices kept them in small glass jars or metal tins. Students kept them in their pockets. Letters carried them across continents. Some were lost and forgotten, hidden inside books for decades, until someone opened a dusty page and found a little loop waiting patiently. You imagine one of those old books now, sitting on a shelf in the cottage library just behind you. Maybe it holds a paperclip inside, gently sleeping between two yellowed pages. The historian smiles and rests her hands on the table. She tells you that she has always found comfort in ordinary things, especially in objects shaped by hands long gone. She explains that sometimes history doesn't need to be loud or grand to be meaningful. Sometimes, she says, it's the quiet stories that matter most. You nod softly, feeling her words settle in your chest like a warm blanket. The lantern flickers, casting slow-moving shadows across the table. The room seems full of gentle hush. The historian rises and walks to a shelf behind her. She brings back a thin book with a faded spine and places it on the table. You watch her open it carefully. Inside rests a paperclip from almost a century ago, its metal darkened but still strong. She lifts it, holding it between her thumb and finger, and for a moment you feel a sense of awe. She hands the old paperclip to you. You hold it carefully, noticing the coolness of the metal, the softened edges worn by time. You breathe in slowly. You breathe out slowly. The metal loop feels delicate, like a whisper of the past resting in your palm. You imagine all the letters it once held together, the hands that touched it, the stories woven around it. You place it gently back into the book and close the cover. The historian thanks you softly for listening to the story of the paperclip. She says that people often overlook the quiet things in life, even though they carry so much of our world. She stands, adjusting her shawl, and tells you that she will return in the morning. But for now, she wants you to rest, to let the quiet evening settle into your heart. She leaves the room, her footsteps soft and slow. You remain alone in the cottage, but you do not feel lonely. The room is warm, the lantern glows steadily, the wooden box on the table holds your paperclip, and the old book holds another, like a memory folded gently away. You notice the soft creak of the cottage settling with the night. You hear the faint rustle of trees outside. Every sound is comforting, small, and peaceful. You stand up in your imagination and walk toward the small window. You rest your hands on the windowsill and look out at the meadow. The sky is now full of stars. They shine softly, scattered like tiny silver clips, fastening the dark night together. You feel your breath deepen. The stillness surrounds you like a warm embrace. In that moment, you realize that the story of the paperclip, the story nobody asked for, has become a soothing path through time. It is gentle, it is quiet, it is steady, and it has carried you into a deeper sense of rest. You walk back to the table, place your hand gently on the wooden box, and close your eyes. Everything feels calm, everything feels slow. Your mind feels light, like a leaf drifting on soft air. You are safe here, you are relaxed, you are ready to drift even deeper. You rest your hand on the wooden box a moment longer, feeling the grain of the wood beneath your fingertips. It is warm from the lantern's glow, smooth from years of use. The cottage around you is quiet, so quiet that you can hear the soft hush of your own breath. You inhale gently, and the scent of warm herbs drifts toward you again, wrapping your senses in comfort. When you exhale, it feels as though the whole room exhales with you. Everything is calm, slow, and peaceful. You pull the chair back from the table and settle into it once more. The chair creaks softly, the way old wooden chairs do. You feel the shape of it cradle your body, inviting you to sink just a little deeper into relaxation. Outside, the meadow moves in the faintest nighttime breeze. The tall grass sways like a soft lullaby. The rhythm of nature seems to align with your own breathing. Calm in, calm out. The lantern flickers again, its flame dancing quietly. That gentle movement of light reminds you of the small flicker of inspiration that first guided inventors to the idea of a paperclip. You imagine those early thinkers hunched over small tables in rooms not so different from this cottage. Their lamps burned low, their tools sat neatly arranged, and in the quiet of night they bent wire into shapes that would eventually hold parts of the world together. You picture one of these inventors now. He sits at a workbench with a length of wire coiled beside him. His fingers are steady, practiced. He takes the wire and begins to guide it around a metal rod, creating a simple loop. You watch his hands move with patience, like a potter shaping clay or a gardener pruning plants. The bend of the wire is delicate, smooth, almost graceful. You can imagine the soft scrape of metal against metal, a sound tiny enough to lull someone to sleep if they listened closely. He lifts the newly bent wire, studies it, and sets it gently on the table. It looks familiar to you. It looks comforting. You realize that even though it is simple, it carries purpose. Many things in life are like this. The things that feel small or unnoticed often hold everything in place. The glow from the lantern deepens and stretches across the table. You imagine its warmth seeping into the room, settling into the wood, filling the cracks between the floorboards, softening the air. You feel it settling into you as well, as if the light itself is whispering for you to loosen your shoulders and soften your jaw. You take another slow breath. The world becomes quieter still. The historian's words echo faintly in your mind, not as speech, but as a feeling of appreciation for the humble and the overlooked, a feeling of calm that flows through the simple act of holding something small and steady. You think about the letters that Paperclips have held, love letters, business memos, secret messages, grocery lists, school notes, reminders written in hurried handwriting, each one clipped together by a small loop of metal that never asks for attention. Your imagination walks you back to the library again, the one you visited earlier in the story. Only now it is nighttime. The tall windows show a dark sky dotted with stars. The shelves stand in silence, their wooden frames old but strong. You walk between them, and each step feels softer than the last, as though the floor itself wants to help you rest. You find a book sitting slightly out of place, as if it's been waiting for you. You pull it from the shelf. It smells like time and quiet afternoons. You take the book to a large wooden table near the window. A single candle burns there, its flame slow and steady. You open the book gently. Inside, a paperclip rests near the beginning of a chapter. It is old, darkened, maybe slightly bent, but it is still whole. It has survived decades, maybe even a century. You slide it gently between your fingers, feeling the coolness of the metal, the faint ridges where it has been touched before. You set it carefully back in its place, close the book, and feel a sense of gratitude rise inside you. You stay in the library for a while, letting the stillness settle around you. The candle flickers softly, making the shadows sway like sleepy dancers. You run your fingers across the wooden table, noticing the tiny patterns carved into the surface by years of quiet use. Every groove tells a story, just like the paperclip. When you stand, the candlelight follows your movement. You walk to a window and place your hands on the cool glass. Outside, the meadow stretches again, but now the stars glow above it like silver seeds scattered across the sky. The world feels vast and gentle at the same time. Your heart feels slow, steady, warm. You walk back to the cottage in your imagination. Each step is soft, as though you're walking across a dream. When you open the cottage door, the room welcomes you with its familiar warmth. The lantern still glows softly on the table. The wooden box still waits where you left it. Everything is just as you remember it. Everything is calm. You move to the hearth. You watch the faint orange glow at the base of the logs, listening to the tiny crackles. They sound like distant whispers, comforting and old. You wrap a soft blanket around your shoulders and lean back against a cushion. The warmth spreads around you. Your body feels heavier, but in the most peaceful way. The historian passes briefly through the room again, pausing only to check the windows and the lantern. She looks at you and smiles, seeing how deeply relaxed you've become. She nods softly, as if to say that the story has done its work. She retreats again into her study, leaving you to your rest. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. You feel the night wrapping around the cottage like a gentle cloak. You imagine the wooden box on the table holding the paperclip safe. You imagine the meadow outside whispering in the wind. You imagine the stars watching over everything in their silent way. Your mind drifts, your body loosens, the story settles into your thoughts like soft feathers falling. You are calm, you are quiet, you are drifting. You sit by the hearth for a long moment, wrapped in the warmth of your blanket, listening to the faint pop of a settling ember. The room feels like it's breathing with you, expanding gently as you inhale and softening as you exhale. Everything settles into a quiet rhythm, a steady pulse of calm. You look toward the wooden table where the lantern glows, and the sight of that golden light makes your eyelids feel heavier, as though the night itself is inviting you to rest. After a little while, you rise slowly from your seat and walk toward a small shelf near the back of the cottage. Your steps are soft on the wooden floor, each one barely a whisper. On the shelf, you notice a small leather-bound journal with a strap of fabric tied around it. The historian must have placed it there long ago. The leather has darkened with age, and its edges are worn from being held and opened many times before. You gently untie the strap and open the journal. Inside, the pages are filled with flowing handwriting. The ink has faded to a soft brown, almost sepia, and each letter curves in delicate strokes. You can tell the historian wrote these words with patience and care. As you read, you discover that this journal is a collection of her notes, not about great events or famous people, but about objects she found meaningful. A simple brass key, a feather quill, a smooth pebble found near an old monastery, and, of course, a few pages dedicated to the humble paperclip. She writes about her fascination with things that are overlooked. She writes about the comfort of simple items that pass quietly through life, yet carry the weight of many stories. She describes how paperclips became symbols of resistance in some countries during war, secretly worn in coats to show unity and hope. She explains how students used them to fix broken zippers, how office workers gently bent them into tiny shapes when their minds wandered, how children used them to hang ornaments on homemade crafts. Suddenly, this small loop of metal feels even more alive, woven into moments big and small across generations. As you read her words, you run your finger lightly along the page, feeling the texture of the paper beneath your touch. It is soft and warm from years of being handled. The ink glides under your eyes like the soft movement of water. You feel yourself sinking deeper into calm, like a stone settling gently into a quiet pond. You close the journal slowly and place it back on the shelf. For a moment, you simply stand there, taking in the peaceful atmosphere of the cottage. The lantern flickers, the shadows sway gently, and the night continues to stretch across the sky outside. Everything is steady. Everything is quiet. You feel grounded in this moment, held by the simplicity of it. You return to the table and sit again in the wooden chair. You place your hands lightly on the wooden surface, and through it you sense a kind of warmth, as if the table itself remembers all the stories shared within these walls. You look at the wooden box once more. The historian's paperclip rests inside, a small symbol of connection that has traveled through time and imagination. You lift the lid just a little, as though checking on a sleeping creature. The metal loop lies undisturbed. Seeing it there fills you with a soft, warm comfort. You lean back in the chair and let your mind wander gently. You imagine the cottage in the early morning, the light filtering in through the windows, the meadow quietly waking with dew on every blade of grass. You imagine the paperclip's shadow stretching gently across the wood as sunlight touches it. Even in stillness, it has a presence, a quiet dignity. Your thoughts drift to the people who might have used this particular clip. Perhaps it once held a small stack of handwritten recipes passed down through a family. Maybe it held together a note exchanged between friends. Maybe it traveled in someone's pocket during a long journey. The possibilities feel endless, soft, and comforting. Each one is like a tiny golden thread in a tapestry of small human moments. You close your eyes again and breathe deeply. The air feels warm against your skin. The scent of herbs still lingers. The faint crackle of the fire has grown softer now, like a gentle whisper guiding you deeper into relaxation. You allow your mind to float freely, unhurried, drifting through memories of earlier scenes in the story. The medieval scriptorium, the Victorian workshop, the quiet library, the meadow at sunset. Each one has left a peaceful imprint in your thoughts. You imagine walking once more into that workshop of the early inventor. The room smells faintly of metal and oil. The lantern on his table flickers softly, casting warm light across the tools. You see him bending wire again, slow and steady. But this time, you step closer. You watch the metal curve beneath his fingers. You hear the faint scrape as he adjusts the wire against his mandrel. The sound is soft, rhythmic, soothing. He looks up at you and smiles warmly, as though he has been expecting you. He hands you a small piece of wire and gestures for you to try. You take it in your hands and feel how light it is. You gently guide the metal around the rod as he did. It bends with surprising ease. When you finish the loop, you look at it and feel a small spark of satisfaction. For a moment, you understand the joy he felt in shaping something so simple yet meaningful. You place the newly formed clip on the table beside his. The two loops sit side by side, reflecting the lantern light. They look almost like tiny sculptures, gentle in design and full of purpose. You step back and let the moment settle inside you. Then the image begins to soften, like a dream fading at dawn, and you drift gently back to the cottage. You return to the chair at the wooden table. Everything is where you left it. The lantern, the box, the journal on the shelf, the fire's soft glow. It feels like home now, familiar and warm. You take a slow breath, letting your shoulders loosen even more. Outside, the night deepens. The stars glow with a steady, peaceful light. The moon rises slowly above the meadow, casting a pale silver sheen across the grass. You watch it through the window, mesmerized by its calm presence. Your eyelids feel heavier, your breath feels softer. Your thoughts drift like mist over quiet fields. You rest your hands in your lap. You let your head tilt slightly. Everything feels slow and gentle. And the story of the paperclip continues to settle into you like a feather drifting to rest. You sit in the wooden chair, watching the moon's glow spill across the cottage floor like a slow-moving river of silver. The light stretches softly toward your feet, warm in appearance, even though you know moonlight carries no heat. The world outside seems to pause. The meadow becomes a quiet sea of pale grass, and the trees stand motionless like gentle guardians. You let the sight soothe you, letting it settle deep in your chest. Every moment feels quieter than the last. You rest your fingers on the edge of the table. The wood feels smooth and sturdy, as if it has listened to many stories over the years. Your touch is light, barely there, and yet you can sense the table grounding you. keeping you steady in this quiet space. It is amazing how something so simple can feel so reassuring. The warmth from the lantern continues to spread across the room, and you feel its soft glow brushing against your skin. After a few moments, you stand and walk slowly toward the hearth again. The fire has almost burned down, leaving soft, glowing embers nestled between the dark pieces of wood. They pulse gently like the last steady breaths of a long day. You kneel beside the hearth and sit back on your heels. A faint warmth radiates toward you, not too hot, just enough to create a peaceful cocoon. The embers crackle quietly, a sound so small and delicate that it could almost be part of your imagination. You lean forward slightly, letting the warmth touch your face. The historian kept the fire low on purpose. You imagine, knowing that a quiet fire can be more calming than a bright one. You watch the soft orange glow flicker, and each flicker feels like another invitation to let go of tension. Time here does not rush. It simply exists, floating gently like dust in lantern light. As you sit there, your thoughts drift again to the tiny paperclip resting in the wooden box. You picture it lying there, unassuming and still. The curve of its metal loop looks almost like a shape nature might have carved: a smooth pebble, a curled leaf, a small ripple in a pond. The paperclip, in all its simplicity, has journeyed from invention to symbol, from tool to quiet companion. You imagine its shape glowing softly in the dim lantern light, a little reminder of how small things can hold the world together. Your mind wanders back in time again, drifting effortlessly into another imagined moment. You find yourself in a schoolroom from many decades ago. Wooden desks line the room, and tall windows let in strips of sunlight. The air smells faintly of chalk and warm paper. Children sit at the desks with pencils in hand, and among their books and notes, small paperclips rest like loyal helpers. You imagine a student fidgeting with one during a lesson, bending it gently into a tiny shape, maybe a little heart, or a tiny hook, or a loop within a loop. Not out of boredom, but simply out of the comfort that comes with touching something familiar. The soft click of the metal between their fingers is barely audible, but there is a soothing rhythm to it. Eventually, they return the paperclip to its original shape and slide it onto the corner of a stack of pages. It holds everything neatly, quietly, without fuss. The room fades, and you drift into another moment, another place. This time, it is a small office in the early 1900s. A woman sits at a desk with a typewriter in front of her. The keys make a steady tapping sound, like gentle rainfall on a roof. Beside her, a bowl of shiny new paperclips sits waiting. She pauses between letters and takes one, using it to bind a finished page to the others. She does this almost without thinking, the motion practiced and smooth. You watch her hands that have written many letters, sorted many pages, lived through many quiet moments. You imagine her breathing slowly, her shoulders relaxed, her thoughts calm. She places the papers into a folder, adjusts the clip once more, and continues typing. There is something comforting in the way she moves, deliberate and gentle, as though she trusts that everything will come together in the end. You feel your breath deepen as you picture these scenes, the soft movements of people across time, the quiet purpose of a tiny object, the slow, steady rhythm of ordinary life. It all blends together into a peaceful hum that drifts through your mind like a warm breeze. You return again to the meadow outside the cottage. You imagine stepping outside now, barefoot, feeling the coolness of the earth beneath your feet. The grass brushes your ankles, soft and light. The air is crisp, carrying the faint smell of night flowers and damp soil. You look up at the sky, and the stars seem brighter than they were before, sparkling gently like tiny silver loops against the dark. You walk a few steps into the meadow, letting the quiet envelop you. Each blade of grass sways slightly as you pass, creating a hush like a whisper. The moon above you shines with a steady glow, watching over everything in its calm, silent way. You breathe in the nighttime air, letting it fill your lungs, and as you exhale, you feel the last bits of tension melting away. You find a smooth, flat rock in the meadow and sit upon it. The rock is cool at first, but it warms gently beneath your weight. You rest your hands on your knees and close your eyes. The sounds of the night surround you. Rustles in the grass, the soft hum of insects, perhaps the distant call of an owl. Every sound is subtle and gentle. Nothing startles, nothing pressed. Everything simply flows. In your hand, you imagine holding the paperclip again. You feel its shape resting against your fingers. Familiar now, almost comforting. It has traveled through your imagination, through centuries of quiet history, through scenes of work and study and rest. It has been part of many lives, even if only in small, unnoticed ways. And now, in this moment, it feels like a little anchor of calm, a companion guiding you deeper into stillness. You breathe slowly, your shoulders loosen, your body grows heavier and softer. You feel as though you are settling into the earth itself, held gently by the quiet meadow, by the cottage behind you, by the slow rhythm of night. You open your eyes just a little and look toward the cottage. Its windows glow softly. The historian is inside, perhaps writing, perhaps resting. Everything feels safe. Everything feels steady. Everything invites sleep. You rise slowly and begin to walk back toward the cottage. Each step is light, dreamlike. The air cools your skin in the most comforting way. When you reach the door, you place your hand on the handle and push it open gently. The warm air greets you, wrapping around you like a soft blanket. You step inside. The fire is now little more than a faint glow. The lantern flickers quietly. The wooden box waits, and your mind drifts, softer and softer, toward rest. You settle back into the chair, letting the fire's final glow reflect softly on the walls. The room feels suspended in a quiet bubble, a place outside of time, where nothing moves too fast and nothing demands your attention. You close your eyes for a moment and breathe deeply, letting the warm, soft air fill your lungs. Each exhale carries away even the tiniest trace of tension, leaving you lighter, calmer, more serene. You think once more of the paperclip lying quietly in its wooden box. In your imagination, you lift it gently, feeling its smooth curves between your fingers. You imagine it has tiny memories, small echoes of all the moments it has witnessed. A love letter held together carefully in a library. A student's notes were kept safe for exams. A list of seeds to plant in a spring garden. Each small act, repeated countless times across centuries, makes it a quiet witness to life itself. You let your mind drift again, moving back to the early inventor's workshop. The room is warm and cozy, filled with the faint scent of oil, metal, and polished wood. The inventor sits on a low stool, his back relaxed, hands steady. He bends wire, slowly, deliberately, and you can almost hear the tiny scratch as it moves against the workbench. It is a rhythm so subtle it becomes hypnotic, a soft pulse that eases your mind. You take a breath in time with it, and you feel a slow wave of calm pass through you. From the workshop, your imagination floats gently to a library in the middle of a medieval village. Tall shelves hold rows of manuscripts, each wrapped in faded leather. The air is still, almost reverent, with the faint scent of parchment and ink. You see a monk hunched over a desk, carefully copying letters by hand. Beside him, a small pile of pages is neatly held together with twisted strands of string or perhaps even a tiny metal loop. You imagine how satisfying it must have been to complete each page, to see them gathered neatly at last. The quiet concentration, the slow passage of time, it all feels like a lullaby. You drift a little further in time, imagining a small office in the early 20th century. A young clerk arranges papers with care, selecting just the right clip for each stack. The motion is gentle, repetitive, almost meditative. With each click, each bend of the metal, you can feel yourself sinking deeper into rest. You imagine the faint hum of the building around you, the soft swish of curtains in the breeze, the muted tick of a clock on the wall. Everything slows, everything softens, everything whispers calm. Your thoughts wander again to the tiny paperclip, and you let yourself imagine it as a small voyager. It has traveled through centuries, unnoticed, yet quietly connecting moments, stories, and people. It has been bent, straightened, hidden, found. It has held together letters, reports, drawings, lists, and dreams. Each connection it has made leaves a gentle trace in the fabric of history, almost like a secret lullaby carried through time. You picture yourself walking along a riverbank on a cool, early evening. The sky is painted in soft lavender and peach hues. Water ripples quietly, brushing against the shore with gentle motion. You hear the distant call of a bird, settling for the night, and feel the soft sway of reeds against your fingertips. Each step is slow, measured, and peaceful. You notice a small, glimmering shape on the sand. It is a tiny paperclip, catching the last of the sun's glow. You pick it up and feel its familiar curve. For a moment you imagine all the hands that have held it before yours. You smile softly and continue along the river, the clip safe in your pocket. The night grows deeper. The sky darkens to a velvety indigo, dotted with countless stars. A soft wind brushes across the trees, carrying the smell of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. You lie down on a grassy knoll near the riverbank, letting the gentle sound of water soothe you. The paperclip rests in your hand, a tiny, grounding presence. You feel the pulse of the world slowing around you, soft and rhythmic, like a lullaby played for centuries. You drift further into dreams of old libraries, workshops, cottages, and meadows, all bound together by the quiet companionship of this little metal loop. It is not loud, it is not urgent, it simply exists, quietly threading moments together, patiently holding things in place. Its simplicity is comforting, its presence is soothing. It is enough. You imagine a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves of a nearby tree. The sound is soft, almost like a whispered "she meant" just for you. You can feel the air brushing lightly against your skin, teasing a shiver that travels slowly down your spine. You breathe in, hold, and exhale, letting each breath move deeper into relaxation. Your eyelids feel heavier. Your arms feel heavier. Your legs sink comfortably into the soft grass beneath you. The world around you seems suspended in a warm, quiet lull, wrapped in the glow of moonlight. You visualize the paperclip one last time tonight, perched delicately on your palm. It reflects the moonlight softly, catching just enough glow to seem magical. You imagine tiny sparks of history radiating from it, like threads of gold connecting people across centuries. You feel a sense of calm certainty, knowing that even the smallest things can have meaning, that gentle acts endure, that quiet presence matters. You let all of this fill you as you sink deeper into the blanket of night. Your body and mind become lighter, floating on the rhythm of soft, slow breathing. Your heartbeat slows, your thoughts quiet, and the last glimmers of consciousness start to soften and dissolve. You feel safe, you feel warm, you feel ready to drift completely, guided by the gentle history of a paperclip. Nobody asked for, but somehow, in this moment, exactly what you needed. And as your breathing becomes almost imperceptible, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant hum of night insects, and the lingering glow of the cottage lantern wrap you in a cocoon of calm, carrying you effortlessly into a deep, soothing sleep. The world still grows softer. The meadow stretches endlessly in your mind, bathed in moonlight that glimmers like a delicate silver thread. Each blade of grass sways gently in the night breeze, creating a soothing rhythm, a quiet whisper to your soul. You lie back fully now, letting the earth beneath you hold your weight, each contour of soil and root cradling you like a gentle hand. The night air is cool and tender, brushing your cheeks with the gentlest touch. Somewhere nearby, a tiny brook babbles quietly over smooth stones. Its voice is soft and measured, like a lullaby sung by the earth itself. You hear the delicate plop of water meeting stone and the faint rustle of leaves along its banks. You imagine the paperclip resting on a smooth pebble beside the water, gleaming softly in the moonlight. It is simple, unassuming, yet it holds a story that stretches across centuries. You feel its quiet strength, a reminder that small things can be important, even monumental, in their subtle way. Your mind drifts once again to the early inventor's workshop. He works slowly and deliberately, the motion of bending and shaping the wire rhythmic and hypnotic. You imagine the scent of polished wood and faint oil drifting through the air, mingling with the warmth of a soft fire. Each motion of his hands is precise yet tender, and in your mind you mirror it with your own breathing, slow, deliberate, steady. Each inhale draws calm into your chest. Each exhale releases tension into the night. From there, you drift into another vision, a tiny village school in the 19th century. The room smells faintly of chalk dust and pine wood floors. Children sit quietly, some tracing letters with ink and quill, some scribbling on paper. One child, small and focused, carefully uses a paperclip to hold pages together. The gentle click of metal on paper, repeated softly, becomes a lullaby in your imagination. You notice how calm everything is, the quiet focus of small hands, the steady rhythm of life moving slowly, one soft moment after another. You rise in your mind and float through the village streets. The cobblestones are cool beneath your feet, and the faint smell of evening rain drifts on the breeze. Lamps flicker softly outside each cottage, casting warm golden circles across the stones. You hear the distant clatter of a horse's hooves on the streets, muffled and gentle, as if the world itself is moving in slow motion. You notice a small shop window where stacks of paper are neatly bound with paperclips, gleaming softly in the lamplight. It is a quiet, comforting presence, a small anchor in this drifting moment. Your journey continues now to a quiet office in the early 20th century. A clerk sits alone, typing letters at a large wooden desk. Each keypress is soft and measured, a steady tap-tap-tap that merges with the gentle hum of the room. Paperclips lie nearby in a small metal dish, waiting patiently for their turn to be used. You see the clerk pick one up, slide it carefully onto a stack of pages, and set it aside. The motion is simple, deliberate, and satisfying. It carries a quiet reassurance, a rhythm you can feel in your chest and your mind. Now imagine yourself outside, wandering along a forest path under a silver-lit sky. Trees sway gently, brushing against each other with a whispering hush. Leaves rustle softly, carrying the scent of damp earth and pine. A tiny paperclip glimmers on a fallen log, catching a flicker of moonlight. You pick it up, feeling the smoothness of the metal against your fingertips. In your mind, you can feel centuries of quiet history resting their small hands, small acts, moments unnoticed yet significant. Each one echoes softly, a lullaby for the heart. You continue along the forest path, letting your bare feet press into soft moss and fallen leaves. The air feels cooler now, brushing gently over your skin, carrying the quiet, steady pulse of nature. Somewhere above, an owl glides silently, its wings moving without a sound. You hear only the faintest flutter of its feathers, like a whisper in the night. The paperclip in your hand feels heavier now, not in weight, but in presence. It has become a tiny talisman of calm, a reminder that even small things carry meaning, and that meaning can be enough to soothe the mind. The night deepens further, the sky a velvet expanse, studded with stars. Each one twinkles softly, a gentle blink in the vast, quiet darkness. You lie down on the mossy forest floor, the paperclip resting lightly on your chest. You feel the pulse of the earth beneath you, steady and reassuring. Your breathing slows naturally, deep and even, and the world above continues to glow softly, in perfect harmony with your inner calm. You imagine that the paperclip is now floating beside you, a tiny silver guardian. It reflects the starlight in tiny sparkles, dancing slowly in the breeze. You reach out, and it settles again into your palm. It is soft, quiet, and comforting. You imagine all the hands that have touched it before, all the lives it has quietly supported, all the gentle moments it has witnessed. There is no rush, no urgency, only the soft, reassuring rhythm of history, of small acts, of quiet endurance. Your body grows heavier, your mind softer. You imagine drifting along a river in a small wooden boat, the water smooth and still beneath you. The sky reflects like a silver mirror, stars mirrored in the gentle ripples. Each breath is slow and steady. Each exhale releases the last threads of wakefulness, carrying them softly into the night. The paperclip rests beside you on the boat's edge, shining quietly. It is a symbol now, a small beacon of calm and continuity, a witness to every soft moment in time. A soft wind brushes past your face, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers. The boat drifts further, guided by the quiet current. You feel the gentle rocking, almost like a cradle. Your body surrenders completely to the gentle motion, to the sound of water and whispering leaves, to the quiet pulse of life moving slowly all around you. You feel warmth in your chest, a sense of connectedness to all the small acts and tiny objects that carry meaning, the paperclip among them. Your eyes feel heavy. The stars above blur into soft, glowing patterns. The forest whispers lullabies to you. The river carries you, the gentle motion rocking you deeper into calm. You imagine the paperclip lying on your chest, a little anchor, a tiny companion through all of these moments. Its simplicity is perfect, and its quiet presence is all you need to drift further. And now, dear listener, as the night fully embraces you, your eyelids close with the softest flutter. Your breathing slows to a rhythmic, peaceful pace. Your thoughts dissolve into gentle clouds of calm. The paperclip, humble and small, remains a silent guardian, a tiny witness to the quiet journey of your mind. The moon, the stars, the river, and the forest cradle you softly, carrying you into a deep, gentle sleep where dreams are light, soothing, and untroubled. The night stretches endlessly, calm and unbroken, and you feel yourself floating deeper into its quiet embrace. Your body rests comfortably, fully supported by the earth beneath you or the soft cushions around you, and every breath is slow and soothing. Each inhale carries in the subtle scent of damp earth, night-blooming flowers, or the faint metallic temps of the paperclip resting gently in your hand. Each exhale releases tension, all remaining thoughts, all restless little worries, sending them out into the still night air. You imagine once again the small workshop where the first metal loops were shaped. The inventor's hands move slowly, confidently, bending wire with the most delicate pressure, shaping it into perfect, soft curves. The gentle rhythm of metal meeting metal creates a quiet, repetitive sound, like the tapping of a tiny bell or the faint scratch of pencil on parchment. You synchronize your breathing with this rhythm, inhaling as the wire bends, exhaling as the work completes. You feel a wave of calm traveling from your chest through your arms and down to your fingertips, almost as if you are shaping the calm itself with each breath. From this quiet workshop, your mind drifts to a candlelit study in the late 1800s. A scholar sits at a polished wooden desk, surrounded by stacks of letters, papers, and bound manuscripts. The candle flickers gently, casting soft shadows across the walls. The scholar carefully uses a paperclip to gather loose notes, placing them neatly in a pile. The soft click of metal on paper seems to resonate through your body as a soothing, delicate lullaby. The motion is slow, deliberate, and comforting, like a steady heartbeat guiding you further into relaxation. You feel yourself walking now through the cobblestone streets of a medieval village. The air is cool, filled with the faint scent of bread baking in distant ovens, and the earthy aroma of worn stones and wooden timbers. Lanterns glow softly along the paths, flickering with golden warmth. You hear the quiet clatter of horse hooves, the gentle murmur of villagers in their doorways, the soft rustle of leaves in the evening breeze. And there, on the edge of a wooden bench, glimmers a single silver paperclip. You reach down and pick it up, feeling its smooth metal warm slightly from the fading sunlight, and in that moment, you sense the calm endurance of history itself. Your imagination drifts gently toward a vast library in the early 20th century. Tall shelves reach toward the ceiling, filled with carefully catalogued books and manuscripts. The faint scent of old paper, ink, and varnish hangs in the air. A librarian moves quietly between the aisles, stacking papers and slipping small clips over bundles. You hear the faintest whisper of pages turning, a sound so delicate it almost lulls you to sleep. You imagine yourself lying on the soft, carpeted floor of the library, paperclip in hand, completely at peace with the slow, orderly rhythm of knowledge and care surrounding you. Now, Imagine a quiet countryside evening. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, leaving a soft glow on the horizon and painting the clouds in pale pink and lilac. The air is cool and still, filled with the gentle hum of crickets and the faint call of a nightingale settling in for the night. You stroll along a winding dirt path, paperclips safely in your pocket, feeling each step slow and deliberate. The crunch of leaves beneath your feet is soft and rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat, steady and predictable. You feel the calm in every movement, every sound, every breath. Your mind drifts to a small, cozy attic room filled with soft candlelight. Dust motes float lazily in the glow, drifting gently like tiny stars. A writer sits at a slanted desk, carefully stacking their latest notes and sketches, securing them with a paperclip. The motion is soft, deliberate, comforting. You lie back in the quiet attic, imagining yourself wrapped in a soft blanket, the warmth of the candlelight wrapping around you like a gentle hug. The world is still, the noises of life softened into a distant hum, leaving you completely at peace. You float next to a river under a silver moon. The water moves softly, barely disturbing the reflection of the stars above. The trees along the bank sway slowly, brushing against each other with whispers of leaves. You place the paperclip gently on a smooth stone by the water's edge, watching it gleam in the moonlight. Its small presence reminds you that even the simplest things can hold meaning, can carry history, can connect moments across time. You feel yourself letting go, letting the river carry any lingering thoughts, any small worries, downstream and out of sight. The night deepens further. You imagine yourself lying back in the soft grass on a gentle hill. The air is fragrant with wildflowers and damp earth. The soft rustle of leaves and the distant croak of a frog lull you further. You cradle the paperclip in your palm, feeling its weight in its shape, imagining the many hands that have touched it before. Each one carries its quiet story, and in your mind you drift along with all of them, floating in a gentle stream of history, calm and unhurried. A cool breeze sweeps across the hill, brushing softly against your skin. The stars above are twinkling faintly, like tiny guardians of the night, blinking slowly in a rhythm that mirrors your own steady heartbeat. The paperclip gleams quietly in your hand, and you feel a gentle connection to all the small moments it has witnessed. Time stretches softly, like a long, unbroken sigh, and your body relaxes completely. You feel as though you could stay here forever, floating, drifting, completely at peace. Now, you imagine a faint glow coming from the horizon, soft and warm, like the gentle hint of sunrise that hasn't yet arrived. It bathes the hill in a comforting light, and the paperclip sparkles softly in response. You feel yourself becoming one with this quiet world, the river, the meadow, the library, the workshops, all connected by the simplest of objects, all connected by the soft rhythm of life. You breathe in the calm, exhale the last traces of tension, and sink even deeper into rest. Your mind grows hazy with tranquility, your body melting into the hill, into the night, into the soft glow of history and memory. You feel a sense of timelessness, as though you have been drifting gently alongside this small paperclip for centuries, sharing its quiet presence, its patient endurance, its gentle utility. You are floating now, cradled by invisible hands, carried softly through a dreamscape of gentle sounds, soft lights, and whispered histories. The forest, the river, the library, and the workshops all converge into a single lullaby of quiet peace. Each element folds into the next. The rustle of leaves becomes the turning of pages, which becomes the soft click of the paperclip, which becomes the gentle ripple of water. Everything moves slowly, predictably, rhythmically. Your thoughts dissolve, replaced by a soft, rhythmic awareness of life's small, soothing details. And now, dear listener, as your eyes close fully, your mind drifts deeper into a serene, uninterrupted sleep. The gentle history of a paperclip, humble yet enduring, continues its quiet journey beside you. It has witnessed centuries, small moments, and unremarkable yet meaningful events. It has connected people, ideas, and moments. And now it cradles you gently, like a silent companion carrying you into a night of restorative rest. You feel the world around you dissolve into quiet, a gentle haze of soft colors and soothing sounds. The distant rustle of leaves blends seamlessly with the soft ripple of water and the faint crackle of a dying hearth somewhere far away. You are floating, weightless, carried along by the gentle current of imagination. Every nerve, every muscle, every thought sinking deeper into calm. Your hand still rests near the paperclip, which glimmers faintly, catching light like a tiny, serene star in your personal universe. The next scene drifts into view softly, like a whisper through a warm evening breeze. You are now in a small European market square during the early 19th century. Lanterns glow amber against the twilight sky, casting long, soft shadows over cobblestones polished by centuries of feet. Villagers move quietly, their voices muted to gentle murmurs. On a wooden stall, small stacks of neatly arranged papers are secured with silver paperclips, glinting gently. You hear the faint metallic click as a merchant gently removes one, and it becomes the rhythm your mind matches with each slow, deliberate breath. Your journey drifts again, taking you into a quiet, candlelit study lined with tall, dusty shelves. A scholar sits cross-legged on a rug, soft candlelight reflecting off the papers he organizes. The metallic sheen of a paperclip catches your eye as he slides it onto a tiny stack of notes. You feel the weight of centuries in that small, gleaming object, not in burden, but in history's soft, patient accumulation. Inhale, and you breathe in that centuries-long patience. Exhale, and you release the modern rush that sometimes clings too tightly to your thoughts. The scene melts like honey into another gentle vision, a soft morning in a tiny village. The sun has just begun to kiss the rooftops with pale light. You walk slowly down the dirt path, the scent of fresh bread drifting from a nearby bakery, mingling with the earthy aroma of the moist ground. A child sits on the edge of a fountain, their small fingers looping a paperclip through a stack of sketches. The sound is delicate, almost imperceptible, but your mind focuses on it as if it were the softest music, a lullaby composed of tiny, thoughtful gestures. From there, your imagination drifts upward to a quiet attic workshop. Wooden beams stretch overhead, and dust motes drift lazily in a single sunbeam that cuts across the room. An elderly inventor bends a thin wire carefully into a loop, the metal twisting under his fingers with a gentle, persistent resistance. You imagine leaning back on a soft cushion on the floor, feeling the calm, almost hypnotic rhythm of shaping metal. Each bend, each loop, each click resonates quietly in your mind, creating a slow, satisfying cadence that mirrors the gentle pulse of your breathing. The narrative floats you now to a tiny library tucked away in the hills. The air smells faintly of polished oak and worn leather. A young student leafs through pages of letters, some bound together with paperclips. The metal glints softly, catching the low lamplight. You lie back on a soft rug, tracing each movement with your eyes in slow motion. The world becomes a gentle rhythm of soft touches, soft glows, and soft, deliberate sounds, all moving in sync with your heartbeat, all pulling you deeper into relaxation. Night falls again, a cool, serene blanket over your mind. You find yourself walking along a quiet riverbank. The water glimmers like liquid silver under a pale moon. Trees sway with a soft, whispering motion, their leaves brushing lightly against each other. A paperclip rests on a flat stone near the water's edge, tiny but gleaming, a quiet companion in the vastness of the night. You pick it up, feeling its cool smoothness, and let your mind drift alongside it, flowing with the gentle current of history and stillness. Your thoughts wander gently to a small, cozy office far in the past. Sunlight streams through tall windows, illuminating stacks of neatly bound documents. The soft tap of a pen against paper fills the room with a rhythmic, soothing pattern. You notice a paperclip lying nearby, resting like a silent sentinel. Its simplicity is mesmerizing, and your mind slows to match the gentle cadence of small, careful actions. You inhale the calm, exhale the tension, letting your body soften as if melting into the warm sunlight streaming through the panes. From the office, your imagination glides into a forest at dawn. Mist rises softly from the ground, curling around tree trunks and soft moss. Birds chirp quietly, their songs delicate and melodic, barely disturbing the stillness. A small paperclip lies on a fallen branch, catching the first hints of sunlight like a tiny beacon. You reach out to it, feeling the smoothness against your fingers, and sense the centuries of quiet lives it has touched. You feel a soft wave of calm wash over you, like the forest itself is tucking you into its gentle embrace. The forest path leads you gradually to a small village courtyard. The air smells of warm bread, wet stone, and wood smoke. Villagers move slowly, deliberately, each step measured and calm. You notice a scholar adjusting a paperclip on a stack of correspondence, the soft click echoing faintly against the walls. You take a deep, slow breath, feeling your own movements slow and steady. Each soft sound, each gentle motion draws you closer to that quiet, drifting state where your mind and body relax completely. Finally, dear listener, the night deepens into a soft, velvety stillness. You lie on a gentle hillside, the stars above shimmering softly like the glint of tiny paperclips scattered across the sky. The wind is barely more than a whisper, brushing gently across your skin. You feel the subtle pulse of the earth beneath you, the gentle rhythm of your breath, the quiet presence of a small metal companion in your hand. The world is soft, still, and infinitely patient, and you are carried along with it, floating gently into the deepest layers of sleep. Your mind drifts, untethered, moving through soft, serene landscapes, rivers, forests, attics, quiet streets, and cozy study rooms. The gentle presence of the paperclip links all of these places, a tiny anchor in your imagination. Every small sound, the rustle of leaves, the faint click of metal, the murmur of distant voices becomes a soft lullaby. Your body softens, your thoughts fade, and the soothing rhythm of calm, timeless motion carries you gently downward into rest. And now, dear listener, as you sink fully into this serene, weightless calm, the world narrows to nothing more than soft light, gentle motion, and the quiet pulse of life moving steadily around and within you. The paperclip remains, small, humble, enduring a tiny guide through the calm landscape of your mind. You breathe in deeply, exhale slowly, and let the quiet world of history, gentle sounds, and soft reflections carry you deeper into a night of restorative, dream-filled sleep. You are now floating in a vast, gentle library of time itself. The shelves stretch upward into soft, misty light, filled with papers, letters, and books that carry whispers of centuries past. Every paper, every page, and every tiny paperclip tells a quiet story. You imagine yourself moving slowly between the shelves, your fingertips brushing along the spines of books, feeling the texture of worn leather and smooth metal. Each touch releases a gentle sigh into the air, soft and comforting, almost like the library itself is breathing with you. Your gaze falls on a single small metal loop, glinting faintly in the muted light. A paperclip, ordinary yet quietly extraordinary, rests atop a stack of old correspondence. You imagine the hands that bent it, the letters it held together, the quiet gestures it has witnessed. The thought of all these soft, unnoticed histories creates a gentle warmth in your chest, a feeling of connectedness across time and space. You inhale that warmth, letting it drift through your body, and exhale slowly, releasing tension, letting your shoulders sink and your jaw soften. From the library, your mind drifts to a quiet workshop where an inventor hums softly to himself. The faint scent of metal, wood, and warm wax fills the air. He bends thin wires into perfect loops, creating delicate shapes that will one day help organize countless thoughts and ideas. The rhythm of metal against metal is soft and repetitive, a gentle percussion that matches your own relaxed heartbeat. You breathe slowly, in sync with the calm motion, imagining the warm glow of lantern light wrapping around you like a gentle, protective cloak. The scene changes seamlessly to a sleepy village at dawn. Mist lingers above the cobblestones, curling in soft spirals around wooden doorways and rooftops. A quiet baker slides fresh bread from the oven, filling the cool morning air with a warm, comforting scent. On a wooden counter, a few papers lie neatly stacked, held together by a glimmering paperclip. The metallic shimmer catches the soft, early light, and your eyes linger, mesmerized, following its gentle contours. You inhale slowly, letting the calm of the quiet morning settle into every corner of your mind. You now drift toward a gentle riverside at twilight. The water is smooth, reflecting the pale orange and pink of the setting sun. Willow branches dip softly into the surface, creating ripples that expand slowly outward. You sit on a flat stone at the water's edge, a paperclip resting quietly in your palm. Its smooth surface is cool to the touch, grounding you, reminding you that even the smallest objects can hold a soft, steady presence in the vast world around you. You let your thoughts drift downstream, following the ripples as they carry them slowly away. Next, your imagination drifts into a quiet attic illuminated by slanting moonlight. Dust motes float lazily through the beams, drifting like tiny lanterns in the night. A scholar bends over stacks of letters, securing them with neat, careful loops of paperclips. You sink into a soft cushion on the floor, the warmth of the moonlight brushing your skin. Each gentle click of metal against paper becomes part of a soothing rhythm, a lullaby of soft sounds designed to slow the mind and settle the body. You breathe in the stillness, exhale all remaining tension, and feel yourself drifting further into calm. From the attic, your mind drifts to a small study lined with shelves of books and jars of ink. A writer sits quietly at a desk, tracing words onto parchment. The faint gleam of a paperclip holds together drafts of poetry, each one a whisper of thought, a gentle note in the vast symphony of quiet lives. You lean back in a chair, letting the soft light wash over you, feeling the calm of centuries of human care. Small gestures and simple organization fold gently into your own body and mind. Your journey continues along a winding forest path. Soft moss cushions your steps, and the air smells faintly of wet earth and pine. The wind is barely perceptible, just enough to rustle the leaves above, creating a delicate, soothing sound. A paperclip glints among the roots of an old tree, tiny yet unassuming. You reach down and hold it, feeling its subtle weight, and sense a deep calm settle into your chest, flowing down into your legs, your arms, your fingertips. Every muscle softens, every thought slows. The path leads you to a quiet village square at night. Lanterns sway gently in the soft breeze, casting warm, golden circles of light on cobblestone streets. The air is cool and comforting. Villagers move slowly, quietly, exchanging muted greetings. You notice a scholar securing a stack of documents with a paperclip. The metallic click of that small object resonates softly through the evening air, and your heartbeat syncs with its gentle rhythm. You take a deep breath, letting the calm wash over you like a gentle wave, slow and steady. Finally, dear listener, the story drifts to a soft, undisturbed meadow under the full moon. Wildflowers sway lazily in the breeze, releasing their delicate scent into the night. A small paperclip rests in the grass, gleaming faintly under the silver light. You pick it up and feel its smooth surface, reflecting on the centuries of small acts and quiet moments it has witnessed. You lie back on the soft grass, the cool earth supporting you, your body completely relaxed. Each sound, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl, the faint click of metal becomes a gentle lullaby. You are floating now, weightless, wrapped in the warmth of timeless calm. The history of a paperclip, humble and enduring, becomes your guide through this quiet night. You feel every muscle melt, every thought slow, every breath deepen. Time stretches softly, the world narrows to gentle light, soft motion, and the steady pulse of your own quiet awareness. You are safe, you are calm, and you are drifting deeper into a night of serene, restorative sleep. Good night.